One of the reasons I am so optimistic is Kenya's entrepreneurial spirit. In my view, Kenyans should be known as Innovation Nation. And let me give you a couple of examples. Kenya's entrepreneurs attracted close to $800 million in startup capital in 2023, climbing to the top spot in Africa. On a pure dollar basis, not as a percentage of GDP, on a pure dollar basis, Kenya receives more startup capital than any other country on the continent, dramatically outperforming other leading countries like Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Kenya's startup ecosystem is particularly strong in e-commerce, fintech, agriculture and agri-tech, health tech, ed tech, apparel, electronics manufacturing, and of course, green energy. And when it comes to advantages, Kenya has several. It's the gateway to East Africa. It has a very well-educated labor force hungry for cutting-edge jobs and fluent in English. And Silicon Savannah, which is just like Silicon Valley, but is on its way to real prosperity. And opportunities abound in many sectors, and a golden opportunity is staring us right in the face of a sector I like to call health tech. Zipline is a San Francisco-based designer, manufacturer, and operator of delivery drones, and it's supplying essential drugs and blood to hard-to-reach areas in several African countries, including Rwanda, Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Kenya, with expansion planned to Tanzania soon. The company started operations in Kenya in January of 2023 and employs already over 70 Kenyans, including all its drone pilots, for 18 drones that make up to 90 deliveries a day. Opportunities also exist in advanced manufacturing, an essential aspect of any high-performing modern economy, and a sector that Kenya is primed to lead on the continent. I bet you didn't know that Kenya had a semiconductor company. Semiconductor Technologies Limited, what we call STL, is a Kenyan semiconductor manufacturing and nanotechnology company specializing in advanced semiconductor tool manufacturing, semiconductor chip wafer production, nanotechnology research and development, and supply chain security. What Intel was to Silicon Valley, STL can be to Silicon Savannah. And it's companies like STL that are leading the way to a better and brighter future for Kenya. Kenya has done very well attracting venture capital to startups, but it continues to fall below its full potential in promoting foreign direct investment. We worked together last year to reform laws that previously discouraged foreign direct investment in tech and business process outsourcing. But Kenya is also going to make similar reforms to encourage foreign direct investment in energy, mining, and green manufacturing. On taxes, Kenya must have a consistent and transparent and fairly administered national tax policy to attract and retain foreign direct investment. In my view, Kenya doesn't have to have the lowest tax rate, but it must have a consistent, transparent tax rate that is predictable, because companies make 4, 5, 10-year investments based on an understanding of the tax law. And that is well underway, I'm pleased to say, in Kenya. Well, I have been the U.S. ambassador to Kenya for nearly 2 years, and I've had the opportunity to get to know the Kenyan people, Kenyan officials, and Kenyan and American businesses. And what I have seen of our economic relationship has been impressive and inspiring. Despite challenges, there are exciting opportunities being seized and waiting to be captured. Second, I have been in your shoes. I know what it's like to make business decisions. I encourage calculated risk-taking. This is the moment to take a risk, to consider investing in Africa and in Kenya. This is the moment to diversify your supply chain and achieve your green energy goals. This is the moment to capitalize on our 60-year partnership and invest and build and grow our respective economies. Investing in Africa, and specifically Kenya, a continent and a country that feels a lot to me like Southeast Asia 20 years ago. It's young, it's vibrant, it's ambitious, and it offers the opportunity to do good while you're growing your business. The risk is worth taking. Opportunity is knocking on the door. Will you answer that door? Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
His Excellency, President Ruto, and members of the Kenyan delegation, the City of Atlanta is honored to have you make a stop in our great city on this visit. Here in Atlanta, we celebrate all of the global cultures that continue to influence us. That includes the thousands of Kenyans who call Metro Atlanta home now. Their contributions have helped shape the fabric of Atlanta's communities. Of course, our global connectivity is helped by being home to the world's busiest and most efficient airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Our airport is not only a gateway connecting us to the world, but also a hub for international commerce, travel, and exchange. I know that Kenya already has a relationship with notable Atlanta-based organizations that work to change the world, from CARE to the CDC and the Carter Center and King Center. These are institutions recognized all over the world for their work advancing economic empowerment, health, and human rights. And our city itself is recognized all over the world as the cradle of the civil rights movement that now has become a beacon for the entire world. We are recognized as a global, welcoming city that has made a commitment to fostering relationships that position us and this entire region as an international hub for commerce, innovation, culture, and diplomacy. As you know, Atlanta is rich with history and diversity, especially as it relates to the African diaspora. That's why we were so happy to host the Pan-African Trade and Investment Conference last fall that included representatives from the Cooperative University of Kenya. So thank you again, Mr. President, for making Atlanta your first stop on this diplomatic visit to the United States. Let us make this visit the start of a new chapter of cooperation, of friendship, and shared prosperity between Atlanta and Kenya, as well as other East African nations. And I indeed intend to come visit you in Kenya soon. Thank you.
Contegra is a majority U.S.-owned company based in Kenya that produces a refined extract of chrysanthemum flower for use in low to no toxic pesticides for organic farming, including in exports to the United States. Through its deal life cycle, Contegra received a USTDA support for feasibility study, transaction advisory services through USAID and Prosper Africa to structure their investment narrative and to engage private investors and direct funding from the DFC. These efforts have helped Contegra raise $15 million in debt and equity investments needed to engage more than 30,000 Kenyan farmers so they could also expand their manufacturing capacity. We are serious about Africa. Victory Farms, through our transaction advisory services, mobilized over $30 million to increase Kenya's exports. In fact, during the U.S.-Kenya Roadshow with President Ruto in San Francisco just last fall, we announced a co-investment with Victory Farms to scale tilapia production by leveraging underutilized smallholder land. Just these two examples, these pioneering firms exemplify the investment case for Kenya and Africa as a whole and show why Prosper Africa exists and why we can confidently know that investing in Africa is possible, in fact, profitable. All of this is to say, we are all in on Africa. Africa's future is being written today. Kenya's future is being written today. We want America and Atlanta to be a part of that story. Thank you.